might feel like you got a long sentence with 16 years, but we have third habitual, get multi-billed and get life coming around here. And you actually, with all the stuff you have gotten, 16 arrests, 2 crimes against a person, so 5 felony convictions, 2 revocations. It's really, you got a big list of serious stuff, and doing 4 years of it.
Well, you heard it. It's not every day we see a woman with that many arrests and felonies and revocations. It's actually quite unique. Her hearing is also quite unique. So let's jump in, listen to it, and I'll unpack it at the end.
So let's begin. Today we have for parole consideration, Ms. KYLIE Patton, DOC number 376619, was convicted for distribution of methamphetamine on July 22nd, 2021, and was sentenced to serve 8 years consecutively in Cattle Parish. Your parole eligibility date is August 3rd, 2024. Your good time date is May 14, 2025. Your full term is August 4th, 2036. Ms. Carrollton's statement has been assigned your case and will have the first vote in your case, and will now begin the interview.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I'm going to have some questions for you. And then I'm going to have some statements, okay? As I read your rap sheet, it started in 1996 and then all the way up to where we are today, 2021. So you have an extensive criminal history when I looked at it. So you would agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
From 96 to 2015, I noticed that a lot of that was forgery and worthless checks. And so who were your victims on that?
The first forgery was my grandmother. It was a $9 check. And the second was a sister-in-law of mine.
Did you give financial restitution?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so you got charged for that. So your grandmother turned you in for that, or the bank did?
No, my grandmother, if I can elaborate just a little bit about it.
Sure.
So actually, there were 2 other people who did the charge. I had written a check on my grandmother at the store, and my grandmother we didn't know anything about the law, so she didn't realize it's a felony. At the time, I was 18, and the DA's office wouldn't let her drop the charges on just me. So she didn't realize that it was going to turn into, me having a felony and all that kind of stuff. That's what happened with that.
So let me ask you something. You just said, just you. Was there several people that wrote?
Yes, ma'am. It was
friends of yours or something?
My ex-husband's sister actually stole my grandmother's checkbook. The check I had written, I told my grandmother about, so she called me to the courthouse and told me to point out the check. And that's when, at that point, I realized that my sister-in-law had stolen the whole 2 checkbooks.
Okay. So I thought you said the sister-in-law, you had a sister-in-law that you wrote a work.
Yes, ma'am. That was my third husband's sister.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So so what I'm hearing is, which is common with stuff like this, it was family members that were your victims on this.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you said that you made restitution.
Yes, ma'am.
What prompted you to do that? Because a lot of people have a moral compass that prevents them from doing things like that. So where was yours?
Okay. With my grandmother, I wrote a check at the little store down from her house for me and my son some food. It was, like I said, $9.19. The deal with the sister-in-law, okay, I know this is going to sound crazy, but when I went to court, she had given me the checks and they were signed. And when I gave them at Walmart, because it slipped through a machine,
Yes.
they never really had me writing a check.
Mhm.
But I took their plea bargain so I could go ahead and do my time and get it over with.
Oh.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
drugs didn't prompt you to do this at that
No,
time?
ma'am. No, ma'am. I wasn't even on drugs at either time. I had never done drugs at that point in my life.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you something. So let's fast forward to 2015.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
saw that you had a DWI. Tell me about
Yes,
that
ma'am.
one.
I'd had surgery on my foot. I had taken a pill I'd never taken. That was my own pill.
Uh-huh.
On my Elovil. I had never had that prescribed before, but the doctor had given it to me in place of another pill that I was on because I couldn't take that pill while I was under this certain medication for the pain. And my boyfriend at the time and I were arguing, and I left in the vehicle, and so I got a DWI.
Were you speeding? What caused the law enforcement?
Yes, ma'am. I was blacked out, and I woke up in jail. Yes, ma'am.
Like down in the middle of the road, on the side of the road, what?
On the side, I blacked out, and I woke up, and they had put me in the back of the cop car, and I was trying to leave. I was discombobulated. I didn't even know where I was because I had never taken the pill before.
Okay, so from 2017 to 2019, what happened? Because you had some more aggravated obstruction of highway. What was going on with that?
I caught that in 2015 with the DWI.
But you had some more. 2017, 2019, you had some charges.
I got revoked, my probation revoked.
Oh, you were on probation.
Yes, ma'am.
What caused it to be revoked? What did you do?
I did not report to my probation officer.
Okay. So still, no drugs, no heavy drugs, or what?
Not
Other
at
than
that time.
wind pill caused you to black out?
Yes, ma'am. I only had taken. Yes, ma'am. I had been drinking earlier that night, and then I took the pill because I was ready to go to bed, and because we were arguing, and then I left in the vehicle.
Okay. All right. So then let's fast forward to where we are today.
Yes, ma'am.
21, possession with intent to distribute, and that was a methamphetamine, correct?
No.
How did you progress?
In 2008, I was diagnosed. I'm trying to hold my composure. I was diagnosed with renal kidney failure.
Okay.
I did have 2 jobs at the time. I was put in ICU. I came out on dialysis. My kidneys did start working again. I was drawing a disability check, and I was going to the doctor every month, and I was taking pills. I don't take prescription drugs. Like, really, I don't. And so I had people who wanted to buy them. That's how it started with the selling of narcotics. And then people would trade me things and for like other drugs. And so I started realizing that was easier for me to sell the drugs than to try to go and face an employer that was going to reject me anyway for my my criminal past and my history. And I know that was wrong now, but at the time, the money was easy. I didn't have to depend on my family or anybody else to take care of me. And at that time, I felt like that was the way to go. And I did that until I got caught. And I do know it was wrong. I knew it was wrong then. I just was out of control. And I regret every second of it, but that's how it happened.
So you were buying and selling it. How about using it?
Yes, ma'am. I was using it.
Let me ask you something. So part of that question with the DWI, where you blacked out, and aggravated obstruction of highway, and then possession with intent to distribute. At any point did you consider the long-term consequences for victims who may receive these drugs, especially now that we're dealing with fentanyl? Did that cross your mind?
No, ma'am. And fentanyl, you know, that day, fentanyl was not even now.
Yeah.
Now, I'm scared to death of any kind of drug. I'm scared to death for my people that I still know that are in addiction, you know, for drugs. I regret so bad. I know I could have harmed myself or others.
Right.
And I would never want anybody to sell my children or my grandchild drugs. You know, I really,
That's okay. Listen, we're here to hear what you have to say, so it's okay. You can cry if you need to.
I'm
It's,
sorry.
that's okay. Don't apologize. Don't apologize.
I wasn't raised the way that I was living.
I understand.
And that's not ever going to be another part of my life again. Definitely not. I'm so totally changed from that person. I can't really believe that I ever allowed a drug to control my mind so much.
And that's what it does.
Yes, ma'am.
It's, and you've learned that in the programs that you've been attending.
Yes, ma'am. I did start drinking, if I could say this part, when I was a teenager. And that, as you can tell, but I stopped. I haven't drank since the night I got the DWI, actually.
Okay.
That was it. And before that night, I hadn't drank in probably 3 or 4 years. It was just, I was at somebody's house and we had been drinking. And then when I got home, like I said, the guy I was with kept trying to pick a fight with me. So I told him I was just going to sleep.
Right.
And then it had like some kind of crazy effect on me. And I decided I'd just walk outside and get my vehicle. But as far as the drugs, that's when my life went downhill.
Yeah. And look, and what you said about you not being raised that way, this, we have millions of parents right now that they look back in their child's childhood and they can't understand how it happened, but it happens in the best of families.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, I mean, we all know that it's a scourge on society right now.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't be upset that you cried.
I know, I've been practicing not crying.
That's okay. Don't be upset about that, okay? So let me ask you something. You've been in programs. Will you tell me about your programs and what they've done for you?
I was in substance abuse.
Huh?
And really it just taught me like the triggers that I have, the things that trigger me to want, that would trigger me to want to use that I didn't even realize.
Right.
You know, it taught me ways that I can healthy wise, go do things to not have those triggers, or when I do have the triggers, resources that I can do, you know, to take care of them, people I can talk to, things that I can do, go to meetings, you know, things like that. As far as money management, you know, it taught me how I can use different ways. I can save money, I can budget better, and because I want to have my own stuff, you know, instead of living the fast life that I was living and just this money to that money, can't even say paycheck to paycheck after 2008, and really have something and build something for myself and not depend on other people to take care of me, because my main thing for whenever I get out of here is to be able to take care of myself, honestly. And my anger management, I really didn't have an anger problem, but that I thought of. I didn't think I had one, but it taught me healthy ways to deal with it, more positive ways, better things to do instead of the way I was taking out my so-called anger. And then the parenting, I have a granddaughter.
Right.
She's 5, and it just helped, like little quirky things that would be more interesting, you know, for a kid nowadays, because they're way different than the kids my kids' ages. And it's just little things that will help me do better with her. And I also try to be a better person for the people in my dorm and my surroundings, things like that.
Yeah, we had a statement, Major Frederick, is that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, he wrote very good things about you for those circumstances, you know, that you've really become a role model for people in your dorm, somebody that they can come and talk to. So he had, excellent remarks to say about you. So I don't know if you know that, but I wanted you to know. Everybody knows what somebody says. So he's seeing it too, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So let me ask you something. If I were to let you out today, can you tell me why I should grant you an early release?
So I can prove that I am a changed person.
Huh?
So that I can prove to myself, my family, my community that I am a changed person. I'm definitely not the same person. I want to be a better mother to my child.
Uh-huh.
I had a child pass away since I've been in jail.
Heard
My
that.
youngest child.
Mhm.
And I lost two of my grandparents. And I also lost my mom. Almost lost my mom twice. The drugs kept me isolated away from my family. I have a brother and sister. My sister's child that only knows me through a kiosk. You know, my little granddaughter doesn't know me at all. And I just really want to reestablish my life and being the new person that I am, that I've become in these last 3.5 years. I just really, like I said, I want to have my own, be my own person, depend on my own self. If you let me out, that's what I plan to cherish every single day. I want to join a Celebrate Recovery group. I'm going to find meetings, and I actually spoke to my mom yesterday about her and my dad going to Al-Anon meetings to try to understand me better, because they have 3 children, and I'm the only one that's an addict. But I do own that, and I am also ADHD, and it's very hard for people to understand me. If you don't get me, you don't understand the things that, how my mind works, you know, and it's hard for me to really talk and express it without like people kind of feeling like I'm out of control with it, you know. And but I did write what I wrote down what I was going to tell you.
Okay.
If that'll make it
I
better.
think that might be better if you want to, Kylie. We're gonna have closing remarks.
Okay, I'll read
I'm gonna
it.
read that in your closing remarks.
Yes,
'Cause
ma'am.
that's your thoughts that you want to tell everybody. So let's let you do that in your closing remarks, Kylie. Well, Kylie, you served 2.5 years of a 16-year sentence, okay?
I'm sorry.
And
Miss
how many? To interrupt me, how many?
I'm sorry. 3
How many?
years, 9 months, and 12 days.
Okay, almost 4 years, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I got you. I'd be the same way. All right, so 3 3/4.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, of a 16-year sentence. So that's where we're at there. And I heard everything you said. I heard about, you know, probably you got a grandchild to be an example for. But of course, if you were to get out, and whenever you do, and you will, you're gonna have to weigh problems that brought you here with, I lost my grandparents, I lost my son, but I have a grandchild and you have another son.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
so one can be an excuse and one can be a reason to
Right.
do better. And you've learned that, I'm sure, in your programs. And so I just wanted to mention that you have a balancing scale in life.
Yes, ma'am.
Whichever way you choose it to be. So I finished my questions at this time.
I'd like to apologize. I overlooked the staff facility. If there's someday, I'd like for them to introduce themselves for the record.
Good morning. I'm Lieutenant Danielle Trishelle, and I also am the lieutenant over the dorm that KYLIE resides in.
Thank you so much. Next person will be Mr. Forrest.
Thank you. Well, I'm looking on your rap sheet and you have 2 pending charges and a warrant. And I want to know what is the status of those things. You got a Washita Parish charge, docket number 18 CR 5328, produce, manufacture of Schedule II drugs. And it shows that one is pending. and you have a 20 docket number, 2900, possession of drug paraphernalia, possession of marijuana, and a safety belt violation as still pending. Are those charges still pending, or you have dealt with them?
No, sir, on my rap sheet, I have no detainers. And as far as I know, no other parish wants me. That's the first I
You think
actually,
those charges are taken care of?
yes, sir.
Have you been to court on?
Sir,
Have you been to court, or you think that just got dismissed? What do you think happened to that?
I think they got dismissed. The one that you said about the manufacturing, I sat in jail for 9.5 months. They kept putting off the court dates, and I've been in jail almost 4 years now, and nothing's ever came about it, and they know I'm in jail.
Probably just hanging around.
Yes, sir, because I've actually been pulled. They tried to pull me for work release, and I chose to refuse it because I was trying to complete my classes so I could try to make parole.
And your FBI rap sheet has a warrant for you out of Wellington, Utah from 2006. And I can't tell if it's been handled or not. It's on your rap sheet.
Yes, sir. It was,
In 2006, it was an intoxication charge. Huh?
yes, sir. It was handled.
And what happened? What did you have to do for that?
When I went to jail. I bonded out of jail. The magistrate told me as long as I did not come back to Utah, I didn't ever have to worry about that.
So this period right here, you've been in jail for the 3 years, 9 months. It's the longest period
Yes,
of time
sir.
you've been in jail.
Yes, sir.
You've been on supervision before. You had 5 previous cases of supervision. 2 ended in revocations. What do you think is going to be different this time if we grant parole to you? Can you tell us? You didn't do too good. 2 revocations out
Yes,
of that.
sir.
What's going to be different this time?
I'm going to report. That was why I got revoked.
Going to report this time.
Yes, I'm definitely, and I know that I have a problem. At that time, I was still in my addiction as well.
All right, that's all the questions I have.
I'd like to ask one question. How far did you go in school?
I finished 12th grade.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay. And you've taken a lot of classes since you've been in.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. At this time, we will hear from Miss Alice Patton, your mother. Can you hear?
Yes, sir. I am.
You may proceed.
Yes, I am Kylie's mother. I do believe that Kylie, this time, she really has changed. All the other times before, we've done everything we could to help her, and it was like she said earlier, she didn't want the help. She wanted to do it her way or no way. And seems that the more that we tried to do, I felt like she was just, not wanting to let us help her in any kind of way, shape, or form. And she was just so out of control. And so therefore, it just came to the point that I just had to just give it over. I just, my thing is that, Lord, you made her, you know how she is, and you're going to have to be the one to do it because we've done all that we know to do. But we're very proud of how she has handled this time. When she was talking about her son and her grandparents, those were my parents. They died within 90 days of each other. And her son, they all 3 died in 21. And so we had a very hard year. And we've only seen Kylie one time, and that was the day of the funeral. And I see her on whenever I call and video her. But as far as being able to, actually be with her, none of us have. And we are praying and believing that she's going to be able to get out and she's going to be on the road, she's on the road to recovery, and that she will continue to do what she needs to do in order to keep her life going the way that it needs to go and to be responsible for what she's done. And we're glad that she's doing that also. She is going to come and live with my husband and me, her dad and myself. We live here in Red River Parish. And my husband is a minister. I'm a retired state employee. So, I mean, we're not hard to find at all. And that's another thing is that, she knows that, we're going to do what we can to help her thrive. But she knows that she's going to have to do her end of the bargain to have that happen also. And, she's got, I understand that Kylie's got some, some relationships to mend with her son and getting to know her granddaughter, the one that her son passed away. It's his child. And so therefore, that's going to be, a little bit of a edge, and we get that. But I believe that she's going to be able to overcome those obstacles and be able to do what she needs to do. Her brother and sister, of course, they're both out of pocket right now because one's in a business meeting and the other one is at their job. But she's the oldest of the three, and her siblings are very supportive of her. It's just the fact that we just want her to be able to do what Kylie needs to do. We can't do it for her, and she knows that.
Right.
And when she was talking about earlier, not reporting and stuff, like I said, I worked for the state. My middle daughter, she worked for probation and parole. And, we tried to, tell her, Kylie, you've got to report. And she would just get so scared because of the authority. And, my thing is that if you would just do what they say do, you'll be fine. They can't do anything to you if you're doing everything they're asking you to do.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
but like I said, I do believe that with the classes that she's taken, she has told her, my husband and I, that she wants to, do the Celebrate Recovery, which we have one here in Red River Parish. That, she can do that. We know the guy that has Teen Challenge over in Dotson, and they have a female facility also. So, they have classes and things like that she can enter into and help herself.
Thank you
And
so
the
much.
thing is that I believe that she wants to help herself.
Thank you so much. Ms. Patton.
Yes, sir.
Now we're going to hear from your father, Mr. Gregory. Are you there? Can you hear us? Mr. Gregory, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay,
I can hear you.
we can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. I just want to say that on Kylie's behalf, she has had some issues about wanting to submit to authority. And I'm one of these people. If my child does wrong or your child, I believe they should be held accountable for their sin, for what they do. And I feel like Kylie has served her time. I think she has learned the error of her ways, and I think she's got something to live for. I think she's had a lot of things that's went against her, and but I think that pain will cause you to do things that you will try to do to cover up those pains. And until you learn how to deal with those things and do rejections and stuff that you've been rejected from, or all those kind of things, it affects your life. And that was the path that she chose to cover it up. But I believe that she's been, for lack of a better way, I think of saying, I feel like the time she spent in jail, I feel like she's been broken and realizes she's got something to live for. She's got a granddaughter that she's never seen. Like my wife, and she said she's lost her son. And I think at this point that she will be she'll be living with my wife and I, as my wife said, and she will be going to Celebrate Recovery and Teen Challenge. That's not a choice. It's gonna happen.
Thank you.
And I told her that up front, very first thing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We'd now like to hear from the facility staff. Do you have a comment?
Yes, sir. I've known Miss Patton now for almost 2 years since I've been here at this facility. As a person who grew up in a family of addicts, I've seen it my entire life. I worked for a drug treatment facility as the clinical office coordinator for approximately 5 years. I've spent a lot of time talking to KYLIE, observing KYLIE, and she'll be the first to tell you if she does something wrong or if she makes a mistake. She doesn't have a problem with being truthful, no matter what the consequence is going to be to whatever it is that she's telling me. And she's pretty transparent. I know that it's been really difficult for her. The family dynamics aspect of it has been really difficult for her. And I believe that KYLIE has the tools now to be successful in society. I believe that she can finally look in the mirror and see the error of her ways. And she knows that being intoxicated on a substance and pretending that those issues don't exist within her is not the way. She's willing to acknowledge what the problem is, and she knows that she's the problem. She knows that. And I do believe she's got the tools to be successful. I think that she can be successful. I really do. And another thing is she's got strong faith in God. She does. I've spent a lot of time talking to her about it, and she knows that she's not in control of anything in this world but herself. And she knows that as long as she controls herself, that she can have a beautiful life. And I do believe that that's what she desires.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. At this time, KYLIE, you want to make a statement?
Yes, sir. I'm gonna read it off of my paper. In this time of my incarceration, I became very humble. It's brought many things into perspective. Difficult, life-altering, hard lessons learned from great loss has made an impact on my life that has changed me permanently. If I'm granted parole, I will cherish every day and find an acceptable job. I plan to continue my journey, abiding the law, and regaining relationships with my child, grandchild, as with the rest of my family. I plan to attend regular meetings as well as church. And I want to thank all of you for the opportunity to let me speak.
Thank you so much. Is the board ready to vote? Ms. Stapleton?
KYLIE and your parents, I appreciate everything you said. And I understand everything that you said. I don't think there's few parents in America today that doesn't understand what it's like to have a child that is struggling with drugs. And terrible things have happened. Now, this last arrest, possession with intent to distribute meth. Meth, cocaine, heroin, that's probably the worst type of drug there is. And so it was an undercover sting that caught you, so it wasn't no doubt that that's what was happening. And I find that very serious. You've served, like you said, almost 4 years of a 12-year sentence for that. And so that's good. But what I'd like to see is, like, you've had these programs and you're a mentor and you're helping the people in your dorm. I think that as some more time progresses, you'll be better and better at that. And I think you'll be more successful for a lifetime recovery, which is what your family wants to see. And of course, we want to see too. If you get out, right now, like I said, you can weigh and excuse the death versus the reason your granddaughter. And so working through all of that. And I appreciate everything you said. But today, because of your extensive criminal history that goes back so far, and then this last arrest, which is so very, very serious, I'm going to vote to deny, but not to discourage you, to hope that it encourages you to continue on the path you're at, so that when you do make parole, it will be successful. So that's my vote today for that reason. Wishing you well.
Thank you.
Mr. Morris?
100% agree with Ms. Stapleton. You actually might feel like you got a long sentence with 16 years, but we have third habitual, get multi-billed and got life coming around here. And you actually, with all the stuff you have gotten, 16 arrests, 2 crimes against a person, so 5 felony convictions, 2 revocations. It's really, you got a big list of serious stuff, and doing 4 years of it, it just doesn't pay the price. You know, it's kind of like, I'm gonna quote Mr. Prater the other day. He said, a smoker, you smoke, and when you get cancer, you quit, but you still got cancer and you got to deal with it. I believe that's you. You know, you quit smoking, but you still got some problems related to it that you got to deal with. And if you would do what she's talking about, maximize the programs and apply again, I think his situation will be much better light with a little bit more time.
Yes,
Not to
sir.
discourage you, like she says, you know, it's just that you're a 5th felony offender, the strong law enforcement opposition, and it is a 16-year sentence. So my vote today would be to deny it and recommend that you continue with your programs and do exactly what you're doing. And good luck to you.
Okay, thank you.
Kelly, you're doing good. You're really doing good. I'm impressed with the way the staff there talks about you and what you're doing in the DOM. And I concur with my colleagues, and we're going to have to deny at this time. So the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Say again?
Yeah, one more call.
I'll be okay.
Um,
I'm okay.
are you?
Yeah.
What a horrible interview. I don't know. We have seen a lot of bad interviews, but this was bad. And I was waiting. I think it's the obligation, it's the duty of the parole board in this situation to draw the line in the sand, so to speak, to call her out on the lies that she said, lie after lie after lie. She's getting out in good time next year anyways. Shouldn't someone set the record straight? You know, there's 2 things that are going to happen. She's going to get out of prison, and she's going to completely change her ways, and she's going to live a straight and narrow life, something she hasn't been able to do. Or she's going to land back in prison, maybe for life, as an habitual offender. And in her mind, I believe that she thinks she had a fantastic interview. She wasn't paroled, but they were all coddling her. They were all being real nice to her. Don't worry, you just need a little more time. Remember, her good time date's just around the corner. Her full term date, yeah, that's far away, 2036, and she's going to be back in that if she gets revoked. But she starts off with the lie, which what makes the lie so ridiculous, in my opinion, is that there's no reason for it. And she thinks that she's tricking the board. She thinks she's the smartest one in the room. It's like getting into the psyche of a criminal mind. It's just, I think it's fascinating, but think about it. You know, she starts off with, well, with the check, my grandmother, it was just $19.02, you know? Oh, and my sister-in-law, that was a valid check. I went to Walmart, I put the thing, and I don't know what word salad. And then I took the plea because, you know, I didn't have time for that, but I did nothing wrong. Then the car accident. Oh, I had an injury. My doctor prescribed me, but then my doctor, he gave me another medication. And oh my gosh, I don't know what happened. I woke up in jail. dude, what? I do feel like Mr. Mirabella, Mr. O'Shea, Miss Jackson would have said, no. Stop talking, Miss Jackson. Stop talking. They would have called her out. You got to call it out. You know, it's like she had like these smiles and these little mannerisms and you know, there might have been real tears at times, but I thought the first one was fake as it can get, and the fake cry. And you know, at probably a portion in her life, all that stuff worked. You know, people felt bad, and people would, you know, coddle her and make her feel. But at a certain point, fast forward, it's not cute anymore. It's not going to get you out of it anymore. You're sitting in prison. You have a 16-year sentence. You have 16 arrests. You have 5 felonies. You have 2 revocations. Someone's got to snap her out of it. And we know the CO didn't. Richard pointed it out in the notes. And I was like, yeah, the CO's like singing her praises. And look, it's good for a CO to have, you know, an inmate's back. I think like there's a good, in a healthy way type of thing. And they have to spend time together. So you don't want to, you know, I get all of that stuff. But she took it to a whole nother level, I think, which makes me think, is she, you know, a CO gullible? It's like, ugh, that's not great. Because from what I saw, did not look good. I feel like her family had better, you know, they for usually we see families that are kind of just like totally naive, and I thought that they were more real than most, you know, more aware of what the problem was in most of what we've seen. But okay, it's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Then we go with the dealing thing, and I'll read from the Facebook post Richard shared. I can't share it because of the information, but the sheriff makes an announcement about when she was arrested for dealing, and they had these warrants for like 4 months, but they couldn't execute them because of the COVID thing, and then finally they felt they could do it, and it was called the Rona Roundup, RONA Roundup, if you want to Google it. And they did 32 arrests with over 90 charges. 29 of these arrests were dealing illegal narcotics. And I went through the list of names, and what was interesting to me is that let's count how many of these are women, and it's a lot. So out of the 29, we have Sylvia, Betty, Jennifer. There's another Sylvia. Wow, it's another Sylvia, different last name. Sylvia again, different last name. Teresa, that's 5. Jessica, 6. Kelly is 7. Leanne is 8. Is Dakota a female name? I don't know. There's Dakota. Then there's Jessie, 9. KYLIE, 10. Shelby can go both ways too, right? But let's see. Bonnie, 11. Victoria, 12. Ginger, 13. Leslie, 14. 14 if those 2 other names are not female. If they are, it's 16. I didn't know there are that many female narcotic dealers. This is out of 29. Wow. Anyways, might not believe it if you didn't see it. And with that, I'll let you go. Okay, before we go, I'm going to do something that I don't normally do, which is do something completely off topic. And that is to just review the arraignment of a Florida man who killed 8 and injured dozens in a DUI incident. Now, what's interesting about this is the angle that you get of the other female inmates that are awaiting arraignment, and the looks on their faces it looks like they're coming off of some serious they're tweaking out and coming down, and it's intense. And I don't know, for some reason, this case reminded me of this that I just saw, and I don't know, I thought I'd bring it in. So if you haven't seen it, it is terrible. And the woman's face is in the background. It's just a whole different level of, oof. Let's go.
Hi, good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Brian Howard.
All right, Mr. Howard, you before the court, you're charged with 8 counts of DUI manslaughter. I have a copy of an application in regards to representation, but sir, it's not filled out at all. It indicates actually that you refuse to sign it. Is it your intention to represent yourself? You want me to consider appointing an attorney for you, or you plan on hiring private counsel?
A public defender,
Are you employed, sir?
self-employed,
And where are you self-employed? What business are you running?
BHM maintenance. It's called
Say that again?
It's called BHM maintenance. I paint and drywall.
And how long have you been self-employed, sir?
For about 7-8 months.
And how much do you make on average per month?
$1,200.
Do you have any dependents that you're supporting out of that?
No. No, ma'am.
Do you have any other assets that you own?
No, ma'am, not at the time.
And do you have any money in the bank?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much do you have?
$700.
All right, based on the information that you have provided to me, this court does find that you qualify for the services of the Public Defender's Office. I will appoint the law officer Michael A. Graves to represent you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
This court has already read through the probable cause, or yeah, you're not done.
Sorry.
That's okay. This court has already read through the probable cause affidavit. I do find that there is probable cause for your arrest on all accounts. State priors.
Yes, Your Honor. The defendant has convictions for leaving the scene of an accident with property damage, 2019. 2 convictions for driving a license suspended, canceled, or revoked, second offense in 2018. Grand theft in 2013. Driving a license suspended, conviction in 2013. Possession of cannabis, conviction in 2009. Leaving the scene of an accident in 2006. And Your Honor, the state would argue and ask for no bond on these charges, given his history of driving with a suspended license. Additionally, there were 33 passengers taken to the hospital, so there may be charges of further injuries for those passengers. And the defendant admitted to law enforcement that he was in the crash 3 days prior to this. It's clear that he drives with a suspended license, and so to guarantee that he's not operating a motor vehicle, we would ask for good bond.
You heard that? He was in a crash 3 days prior. I don't know if I'm going to go through the entire thing, but they basically held him without bond. But do you see these faces in the background? I'll unpack this accident a little bit at the end too, but it's just, really, it just looks so painful. I mean, can you imagine being, being in jail, coming off, you're hot, you can and you see this woman in the background, she keeps yawning. She makes the funniest face when they announce the, here you can see it even more. It just looks like so much pain. Oh my God. And it makes me wonder, look at her tweaking out. And it's just sad, really. Addiction, it's just so terrible. And maybe you're bringing this up because of just, you see the dealers that are doing this and How do you fix it? And really, it's just people who are in pain. People are trying to escape abusive, horrible childhoods, horrible, it's, there's so much that goes into that, but just seeing that, I don't know, kind of break it. And now, so we'll unpack this horrible accident. And it wasn't his first DUI, and as you heard, he had crashed just 3 days prior, driving without a license. So Florida Highway Patrol has arrested a driver of a pickup truck, crashed into a farm worker bus early Tuesday, killing eight. Brian, and you see him there. He shows no like remorse, no nothing. He's just like, oh, whatever, It's always like it's so often monsters that do it, and it's just, how does that happen? How is it that it's a monster that does it? It can happen to a non-monster, but no. So he faces 8 counts of DUI manslaughter. Trooper said that he was driving his 2001 Ford Ranger when it crossed into the center line and on State Road 40, a straight but somewhat hilly 2-lane road that passed through horse farms. The truck sideswiped the bus, causing it to veer off the road at about 6:40 a.m. 6:40 a.m. in the morning. You would think you're safe. It crashed through a fence and into a tree before overturning. In addition to the 8 killed, 40 were injured. I mean, there's the bus. You can only imagine, right? When they say injury, just think how many of them are severe life-changing injuries. It was not immediately known if Howard has an attorney. No phone. Okay, so state records show that according to state records, Howard had previous arrests for driving with a suspended license, leaving the scene of an accident, and devil's lettuce possession. The accident happened in Marion County, 80 miles north of Orlando Farm. When the window smashed, emergency rear door and top hatch open, the truck came to a stop. There you go. So whenever we also read about those with all these DUI and intoxication write-ups, it's like you're just one moment away from one of these. I don't know why I brought this up, but anyways, now I'll really let you go.